Welcome to the Couple Fix. I'm Janine Estes.
And Jennifer Chappell-Marsh.
And we're here to talk about when your friends don't like your husband. And we're super excited about this one because it's such a conflict when you have your husband who you love and your friends who you love. Friends give us tons of support and comfort and guidance, and we can talk about all of these awesome things with them. And then they might not like your partner. And so that's what we want to do, is talk about what to do with this type of situation.
If you've been listening to our podcast, you've been hearing that we've been talking about external things that can impact your relationship. Last podcast we talked about the in-laws, annoying in-laws. And today, we're talking about when your friends don't approve of your spouse, and it can cause some big stress. So we're going to talk today about what to do if your friends don't like your husband.
Some friends might say inappropriate things, cut him down, or avoid talking about your husband. He is such a huge part of your life. Duh, right? Like, hello. So you can't not talk about him. And these things happen when friends get a little bit, like, they might say these inappropriate things or avoid the topic.
This is a real issue. And for anyone who's going through this, it can be extremely difficult. It's actually really painful for someone to go through because you're just, there's not a real win situation on both sides. It can strain your friendship on one side, and then on the other side, it can put doubts in your mind about your partner.
There is a thing about when we've got, here are my friends, love them, and here's my partner. Unfortunately, sometimes women can develop like a major grudge. If they don't like your husband, they can develop a major grudge, and you'll know it and you can see it. And so that's why it's important, is we've got to talk about this issue, because what do? You absolutely love your friend and you love your husband, and you're conflicted inside. So where we're headed is we're going to talk about the doghouse, what not to do when your friends don't like your spouse. And then later we're going to talk about the how to get back into bed. And that's how to handle when your friends don't like your husband. It's the fix. So let's talk about what not to do, Jennifer.
So first thing is, and this is hard for most women, but don't be a people pleaser. A lot of us ladies, we want harmony in our lives, especially when it comes to the most important relationships to us, our husbands, our boyfriends, and our friends. We want everyone to get along, and it can be very, very hard when someone in your life that matters to you isn't happy, and we go into people pleaser mode. So we can, try too hard. We can try to change the way people are feeling or thinking, and ultimately this just ends up hurting you, because the amount of energy that you end up expending is depleting. So don't go into people pleaser mode.
So a next one, I like that, is there's when we're anxious, we over function, but then there are other times when it's so overwhelming, you feel so stuck inside, it's so uncomfortable that people want to put their head in the sand and hope it gets better. They might go into this avoidance place. I always say, like, the avoidance therapy. So don't do the avoidance therapy. And when I say that, it's meaning don't just cut off your friendships just because they don't like your partner. There needs to be space on talking about it, figuring out how you can move forward. Can there be some sort of middle ground? So just don't cut it off instantly without giving it a chance. And along with the avoidance therapy that I've been kind of describing, when we're so anxious and overwhelmed and it's like, oh, I don't want to deal with it, sometimes people will then not invite their spouse to events because they know the girlfriends are going to be there. Mm-hmm. And that isn't going to be a win for you as well, because that's your spouse. So don't avoid bringing him to social events just because it's uncomfortable in the air. So we don't want you to be in this place of pretending and you can talk about everything in your life except for your spouse. You can bring your spouse everywhere except for the place where your girlfriend is. Mm-hmm. So that's
sad.
Oh, it's so sad. Yeah.
And, I think that it's healthy to have some separation, and have your own time that you spend with your friends. But what we're talking about here is it can lead to feeling like two separate lives. You've got one life with your husband and then one life with your friends. And when there's such a disconnection between that, it's sad.
It's hard for anybody to be in that spot.
Yeah.
So where we're going to head is looking forward is how do we want to handle things when your friends don't like your husband. So again, the things not to do is don't be the people pleaser and try to put on just a happy face, but also don't be the avoider and put your head in the sand. So we're here to talk about the fix now. This is the getting your relationship really solid and how you can handle your relationships, not just with your husband, but with your friend.
So the most important thing, if you find yourself in this situation where your friends don't like your husband, the most important thing, first off, is to try to focus on your happiness. Because ultimately, your friends and your husband, they want you to be happy. That's really what they want. If they care about you, that's what they want. They want you to be happy. And if you get caught up in all of the tension and anxiety with trying to navigate, making other people happy, then versus yourself, that's going to come off as you being unhappy. And then if your partner feels that and your friends feel that, that's just going to feed into this general tension and discord and create a greater divide. So remind yourself your friends are coming from a good place. They love and care about you. So is your husband. And focus on their care for you versus their dislike of your spouse. Because the more relaxed you are and the more comfortable you are, the happier they're going to be for you.
Very well said. So along with that issue, Jennifer, I was thinking how the work that we do in our office with couples and with any relationship, even with our individuals, is we're always encouraging our clients to talk openly to people in their lives, to, instead of avoid it or attack it, really just talk openly. And that's where we want you as listeners to also go, is to talk openly to your friends and your partner. Ask your friends what they don't like, what their biggest fear is if you stay with him. What do they think you want in a relationship? Just get to the root of what they're concerned about. And are their concerns accurate? Is this one person, or do all of your friends have concerns? Is it just one? So take it all into consideration. The critics might be right, but let them know your opinion is important and you'll take it into consideration. That, again, talking openly, we encourage it all over the place. You can never get to the root of things if you avoid it or just start to guess.
And everyone knows when there's an elephant in the room.
Amen. You can feel it.
You feel it. You know it's there, and it makes it so much more uncomfortable if it's not being talked about.
Yeah.
At least if you're talking about it, it relieves that pressure. And the whole situation feels a lot better for everyone.
And I like that piece of you're talking about it. You're going to consider what they're saying. Mm-hmm. Sometimes girlfriends they nail it and they know something's wrong. And other times they just might not like the way he is, just his character, or it might be something that's not really an issue. So we need to take it all into consideration.
Yeah, and so that's a great point, Janine. I love that. And along with that is, once you know what the concerns are, and you have that open dialogue, then you can kind of start setting some boundaries. We can't change the way that your friends feel, but you can take an active role in setting some parameters that might help the situation. For example, I had one couple, the woman was American and her husband is English, and he has a very different sense of humor, and he's very direct and abrupt, and it was rubbing her friends the wrong way. They felt like he was rude, when really it was like a cultural thing. He had no idea that he was coming off rude to her friends. And so in that type of a situation, we want to give the benefit of the doubt. And if you know your friends feel like your partner can be rude or interrupt you sometimes, then you can talk to your partner about that so that they're more aware, in setting some limits. Also, you may need to set some limits with your friends, like, leave the door open for them to talk to you about what concerns they have, but letting them know that it's not appropriate to badmouth your spouse. You need to have your partner's back while also hearing your friends out.
Tough spot.
Tough spot.
And no matter what they think or how they get along or not along with your husband, your friend should always support you. That's the basics, is our friends, as friendships, we need to support each other. If we have concerns, we bring up concerns in a healthy, positive way. We consider the concerns, and ultimately our friends need to support us. So ask them to support your choice. If you're saying, I'm going to stay with this is my husband, I'm staying with him, he's the father of my child, and we have a great time, and this is what I'm choosing. So you can go to your friends and just say, I need you to support me. I know you don't like him. I know he's not your favorite, but I really need you to support me in this decision. Can you do that?
Such a good point, Janine. Because your friends, if they are your friends and they want to support you, they will. They don't mean to put you in an awkward position.
They don't have to 100% agree, but they can really just have your back.
Yeah. The last thing that we want to talk about is your acceptance of the situation. I think that for a lot of us women, we have this, ideal situation. We think about getting married and our husbands and our girlfriends and everyone loving each other, and that's awesome. And there's a lot of people that have that, but there's also a lot of people who don't. And so if you're in a situation where your spouse and your friends aren't quite meshing, it's disappointing. And so letting yourself feel the disappointment of that, but accepting that that is the case, and you may not have that fantasy or that ideal. The sooner that you can accept it is what it is, then you stop kind of fighting against it. And then again, the more relaxed you are and the happier you are, the better everyone is. So thank you so much for listening today. Hopefully, if you're in the situation where your friends don't like your husband, ladies, we're hoping that you walked away with some tangible things to move forward, to actively address this issue so that everyone involved can be more comfortable. So with all that being said, thanks so much for listening. This is Jennifer Chappell-Marsh.
And I'm Janine Estes.
And until next time, we are hoping you stay out of the doghouse.
And in the bed.
Visit our website, thecouplefix.com. Subscribe to our newsletter and friend us on Facebook. Next week, we will be talking about
drinking problems.